This is the third summary for the Gliwo World Crossing. We sailed from the top of Australia, Horn Island, to South Africa and crossed the whole Indian Ocean.
5 knots of currents, it's really helpful.
The crossing is a little bit less than 700 miles, but the big theme of the crossing is to avoid all the fishing boats. And we're not talking about 5 or 10 or 20, but there are literally hundreds of fishing boats along the route.
I was happy that Mark took the longer route and avoided most of the fishing boats.
There is a huge fishing fleet in the southeast of Indonesia. We were constantly looking for options to sail around it.
Starting to rain already. We saw a line of 4 or 5 white lights in front of us.
I think we made 60 or 70 miles more than the other boats. In the end we all arrived more or less at the same time in Tua.
Arriving in Indonesia. We explored the K Islands, close to Tual in Indonesia, and we crossed to the Spice Islands of Banda.
It's always difficult to choose the right sails, especially in this area where the forecast is sometimes not even close to what actually is going to happen.
Again, we put the anchor on and we're going to use the full main. The wind is expected to be 17-18 knots. At this rate we will arrive somewhere at 4 AM.
Even before the sun set, we had already seen a cargo ship coming from our starboard side.
And yeah, we want to let it pass in front of us, but somehow Greatcircle doesn't agree.
Increasing.
The wind is not really helping, it's going up to 28-29 knots. No, in the end we managed to let the cargo ship pass. After a couple of days in Banda, where we went to see some Dutch history and went snorkeling, it was time to move on towards Ambon, the capital of the Moluccu. You don't have to put your alarm here in the morning, as every morning at 4:30 the alarm will ring. 9 minutes past 6. We're on our way. Almost 350 square meters of sail. We've got the boat on wind angle now, autopilot 165, and we pull the tack of the asymmetrical spinnaker towards the windward bow. Especially after a surf, the apparent wind can drop and the speed can collapse. And most of the time it just corrects itself and comes back. Sometimes you have to help him get a little bit more pressure in the sail back.
And while the boys are sailing the boat through Indonesia, I'm back home and my grandchild is born.
Time for snorkeling and diving, and an interesting visit at the Bio village, a local gypsy village built on poles in the water.
Let's go, baby!
You don't even see it. We were there at the time of Woman Festival. Plenty of opportunity for the artists among the Gliwo fleet to perform on stage.
1, 2, 3, 1!
Unbelievable what the Gliwo fleet did here. You can hardly hear what song they are singing and the whole crowd was crazy. It was amazing. There are a lot of unlighted floating objects in the ocean, even at 2,000–3,000 meters deep. So it is much more sensible to sail as much as possible during the light. After 3 flights and some delay, I'm very happy to be back on the boat.
At this beach we would arrive at the atoll in the light.
So my first sailing day ended up to be really beautiful. We had several hours with 12 knots of average.
Averaging over 10 knots, including first couple of hours where there was zero wind.
Imagine you sail here during the night. It's unbelievable. You would hit or the boat or the floating pontoon or the rope. It's very dangerous. Because this beautiful atoll was in the middle, we didn't have to sail during the night.
Curtsy. It's probably 2,000 meters deep here, but this floating pontoon is still anchored. Incredible, but true.
And then there's not a lot of wind, and we are very happy with a reasonable squall because it gives us a big push to the main island. So communicating with people who don't speak a word of English, it's very easy with Google Translate, and we have a lot of fun with that.
Quite a number of reefs here. Ja, die optocht. Ja, het is echt bizar.
We have mixed feelings doing touristic trips because going to a lookout point with 1,000 other people is a little bit different experience than doing it on your own.
So we're leaving the busy Labuan Bajo. We stay at the top of the inlet. Tomorrow we're going that way, trying to reach Mojo Island.
It is so nice to meet local people. Then you're getting an idea how they live in a non-touristic area of Indonesia. And then we have a beautiful sail with 25 knots of wind and in the shadow of the island, so there are hardly any waves. And then inland there's a very romantic waterfall.
So this is Lombok in front of us.
We actually saw very beautiful places of Indonesia. I preferred the less touristic places, but the last island, Gilier, just in front of Lombok, was a very nice place with a very good vibe. We prepared ourselves for the Indian Ocean crossing in Medana Bay Marina in Lombok. And then it's time to refuel a bit, but it all goes with jerry cans, so we decide to fill up the boat to 85%.
We're all going on.
Summer holiday.
We just bring
It's so good to see Nina again, that she's back on board, and she's going to sail with us all the way to Mauritius. She stays for 2 months. And then it's time that we have a party to say goodbye to Akaroa, Endless Joy and Inky Blue, because they're following another route from now on. We sailed from Lombok to Christmas Island, 650 miles. In the beginning there was not a lot of wind, so we could use the A2 and that gave us some speed. And later on we could just go with the downwind Janneker in the direction of Christmas Island.
And we're going first to Christmas Island and then to Cocos. Miles in 8 hours today.
We enjoyed Christmas Island very much. The combination of culture, background and the nature was very beautiful.
They're really big. The rubber crabs at least.
These crabs are very important for the island. They keep the soil weed free, and also because they're digging holes, the soil stays healthy.
Nina did a great job last night. We started at 11
Yes,
and now it's
5:20.
We're already sure that we will arrive in the light tomorrow. We have to go faster than 6 and not faster than 13 on average.
It is so good that we do these trips in 2 days. It's more than 550 miles and it only costs us 2 nights.
In that corner of Direction Island. Let's go there.
Cocos-Keeling is an absolute paradise. We are anchored at Direction Island. It's the only island where you can anchor in the atoll. There's absolutely nothing there, it's uninhabited. but there is a small shed where you can have barbecues on the shore. And then Nino comes in with his spinnaker around the forestay, 300 miles, with his flapping thingy in the front. We had a nice excursion to Home Island, which the Gliwo organized. Home Island is the island where the locals live. There's a small supermarket and a cemetery with a view over the turquoise water. For the wing foilers amongst us, it was absolutely paradise. For everybody it's paradise, but they had so much fun the whole day. What was a little bit less fun is that we had to cut the spinnaker off. It was a fairly new spinnaker. From Cocoskeeling we are sailing 2,000 miles to Rodrigues.
You don't wanna be rich like everybody else does. You just wanna grow old, sit still while everybody.
In changing conditions, we constantly change the sails to keep the speed as high as possible.
Your star sign, I'll make something up about how you have to fall apart to really be someone. There's nothing else to do here but kiss under the stars. I like you just the way you are. There's nothing else to do here but fall into your arms. I like you.
After way over 1,300 miles, we're still alongside Pom.
It's unbelievable after so many miles that you're still so close to each other. It's a good feeling that you are not alone in the middle of the ocean.
You just wanna go slow, sit still and come undone. In the meantime, you wanna have some fun. Oh, you say you have to.
We had to work all of a sudden as we were looking at the squalls in front of us, but there was a sneaky squall on our back door as well. We came really close to Pom, to be honest.
5 miles.
I like you just the way you are. There's nothing else to do here but fall into your arms. I like you just the way you are.
Last sunset. We have about 50 miles to go.
We arrive in Rodrigues during the night or in the evening, and luckily we can anchor within the reef and can do the channel the next morning when it's light. We explored Rodrigues. We really loved the atmosphere on the island. It was just the right mixture between having everything available and still living a little bit in the past.
This is Operation Let the Ladies Sleep.
Yes.
We chose to do the 350 miles in 2 nights and 1 day instead of the other way around.
8.5 knots all over a sudden. No, that's more than expected.
We could be slow, didn't have to rush, so we actually didn't even change any sail during the trip.
Looking good!
And now it's 1 hour to the south, where we have to go to the customs dock.
It's like someone is happy that we are there.
After checking in at the customs dock, we went to the harbor where the whole fleet would come together in the next couple of days. We have an unexpected other guest on board for a couple of days.
It looks dark behind us.
The welcome in Cram Bay was absolutely fabulous. And after a little bit stressful start, we had a very lovely sail. We saw some huge whales on our way, even a mother and a small one.
What's happening here?
It's negotiation. No, we are working on it, and some more news to follow soon.
We had to say goodbye to Nina, who was a great help and very nice company in the last 2 months. On our way around the south of the island, first we can sail with the downwind Jenniker, and then later Mark rolled it in and did the last part against the wind on the engines because I was a little bit ill, so I could stay in bed. In Port Louis, it's time for the technical team again. Rafael is exchanging a ring. Last time when I went up the mast, I wasn't strong enough to open it. It is so good to see our old lagoon again. We are already for so long in contact with them that it feels like seeing old friends when we meet them. Oh, so next time you're watching the video, you will be in it. And then we are sailing to La Réunion for a small touristic tour, and then we are going to make ourselves ready to sail to South Africa.
The wind is calming down here.
Together with Rob and Hanneke, we go for 2 nights in a hotel in the center of the island. It is a beautiful island. So this is the current situation.
Yeah.
The idea is to pick up a waypoint somewhere here because here is turbulent wind and waves and currents. And from there go straight to Richard Bay. And you want to be in before this arrives again. The rally actually is a big help. We are always prepared for everything. We know about the weather, the currents, checking in and checking out, all the procedures. Thank you very much, Victor. You can already see that the front is arriving. Even though there's no wind at all at the moment, the swell is already coming in. In the meantime, Woody is on board from Australia and he will sail with us to Cape Town.
Here, this doesn't really help.
There it is. So we took the sail down, now we're drifting. We took the stuff from the rudder. The last part of the crossing, it is actually pretty tight. We can see the low pressure area coming from the south with southwesterly winds. We want to be in the harbor just before it hits.
Less than 24 hours to get there before the wind starts blowing from the south.
Average wind around 25, fingers crossed. If everything goes right, we will make it in time.
We moved to a pontoon. There's a southwesterly storm coming. So 5 centimeters to go and the rudder's already touching the ground.
And then we do a beautiful safari. We saw all the big animals, the small ones and the ugly ones.
A little bit.
Hij kijkt me vrij boos aan. And then it's time to go south to Durban.
The reefs in the main, by Richards Bay. A lot of boats there. Yeah. We were in doubt whether or not to continue to East London. We shook 2 reefs out and then the mantle of the halyard came off. Almost there, less than 10 miles to go.
We enjoyed Durban very much. We didn't go into the center because it was not safe. But actually the harbor was very inviting and welcoming. And it was a beautiful restaurant which we enjoyed. So we had a good time there. After so much time that we spent in the Pacific and in the tropical area, it is really strange to have bad weather again, feeling like cold and rain and wind. It's a big change.
It's a different grade of Danima, and it broke right there at the top.
Luckily there was more than enough wind, and with the strong Agulhas current we could make it in time in the right weather window to Port Elizabeth. We found a problem with the spinnaker. We couldn't get the snuffer down anymore, but it was just turned within the snuffer several times. So Mark had a few turns in the spinnaker in the bottom, so we hope we solves the problem.
Much better.
When we will be back in Cape Town, we will have a new downwind gennaker and we will have a new halyard. So at least all the sails available from that moment on. Incidence is going to look at our mainsail and do repairs if necessary. We'll be very happy for the last part of our trip, for the last 10,000 miles. In Port Elizabeth, we exchanged the halyard that broke just outside Durban.
This is the new halyard.
Thank you very much, John and Andrew, for helping us out with the halyard. We just used the time that the wind was against to do the repairs, and then we are off again.
Up to 25 knots and a 40 degrees wind shift, 50. Seems to ease a little bit in the meantime.
Just before we reached Naisna, there were a lot of seals in the water. It was as if they were sunbathing on their back in the sea. The entrance of Naisna is very shallow, and then with a southerly swell there can be big breaking waves. After a short look at Naisna with the drone, we decide to continue because after 24 hours of motoring we are very happy that there is little wind, so we sail in the afternoon and even through the night with a big A2 spinnaker. We had very nice and calm weather when we passed Cape Akulas, where the two oceans meet.
There might be fish there. The weather was there a little bit earlier. 29 knots. It already started raining and well, is it necessary? Yes, it is necessary. First one reef and then we went out again and put the second reef in as well. We're at 12 miles of this waypoint. It's the same as where Cape Point is. This is Cape of Good Hope.
Approaching Cape Town in the night is very special with all the lights. It's actually the first time that the area is so light and bright that you can even just see in front of the boat if there are any obstacles or whatever. So it was pretty safe to anchor in the dark.
Pretty impressive to sail next to Table Mountain.
And then I make a decision.
Okay.
If I go back or straight in?
We had 35 knots. Yeah, approaching the marina.
Nice.
The way I'm entering the bridge actually feels like when we were flying on final with side winds. You steer up and then at the last moment, just before you land, you put the plane in the right direction, and that's exactly what I did with the boat now. In Cape Town we will have a small rest And we go to Holland for Christmas and to see our grandchild. And then we will be ready for the last 10,000 miles via Namibia, Brazil, the Caribbean, Bermuda, Azores, and then back to France.